the other major characters of the Christmas story, the shepherds and the Magi, who see signs that they will understand and then go and see baby Jesus born in Bethlehem. The issue with them is that we know very little about them compared with the other characters, but that also brings with it a beautiful mystery. The shepherds connect us with the history of Bethlehem and also with the ordinary people who are exalted and lifted up by God because of his different way of looking at the world compared with us. And they are part of making Mary's song of thanksgiving about the news that she's going to give birth to Jesus, the Son of God, into a kind of a prophecy. They are the fulfillment of the lifting up of the lowly. The Magi are even more mysterious because they're not of Israel or Bethlehem, and so aren't part of that history. We've mentioned before the possible connection with the prophet Daniel in Babylon, but that is quite tenuous, even though I really like the idea. So little is known, and that's kind of partly the point. Unlike the Christmas carols that we sing, they're not kings. They were intellectual, wise, interested in the sky and the universe, looking for a sign or a star, and you might wonder why. They were clearly going to see something that others with less interest in these things would miss. But we only think there are 3 of them because we know that there were 3 gifts. There may have been more. Even their wisdom, Magi meaning wise man, is kind of disputed because they would have been intellectual and scientific and explorers maybe. But in terms of political wisdom or the understanding of the human heart, they didn't see any consequences of going to the king of Israel and saying a new king has been born just down the road. So whilst they are not to blame for King Herod's evil, neither were they wise enough to see it coming. The star is also mysterious. There are many feasible options looking at ancient records and our understanding of the movement of the stars and the planets. From planetary alignments to supernovas to shooting stars, it may well be that one of these was the way that the star came to be. But it's more important to me to understand that the character of these people was that they were looking for something that others wouldn't have seen, and then they were willing to travel to an unknown nation, an unknown situation, and they recognized when they found the baby in a kind of a stable lying in a manger, they still recognized that this was what the star pointed to, and that in itself is amazing. When I think about the star, the question is it more amazing for God to have created a star, moved it across the sky, moved it over the very place in Bethlehem where Jesus was staying to lead them? Or is it more amazing that when God made the stars in the sky in that beautiful description in Genesis chapter 1, that he set things in motion so that at this particular time this star would appear in the sky, it would appear to move, and then it would take these amazing wise men to see baby Jesus. As I've gone on, I find the second idea even more miraculous and amazing than the first one. So by looking at the characters in the Christmas story, we have the makeup of the world and the way that people are going to respond to Jesus, the light of the world. We see the faithful, the humble, those who the world would not choose but that God raises up. In contrast, we see the arrogant and the ruthless bringing darkness into the world at the very moment when light was coming into the world as God became one of us. We have the very ordinary and the so mysterious. But the amazing thing is that all of these things converge in this one place, a tiny place called Bethlehem, because that's the way that God decides to do things.